The final type of automation we want to set up is a conditional automation. Airtable launched this feature probably half a year ago at the time of filming, so it's another one that we're very excited about. With conditional automations, you have lots of different options for actions that you can take. So for example, if a new project that's an event gets added, maybe you want to create a certain set of tasks related to that project. And then maybe for non-event projects or maybe for SEO projects, you'll want to create another set of tasks for SEO projects in particular. So it allows you to set up templates and really speeds up your work, because otherwise your projects would get added manually and then all of your tasks would also get added manually. That might work for some teams, but might not work for other teams. So inside of our automation section, we're going to create a new automation. And we can call this one Create Tasks based on the type of project. Then you can add a trigger. And in these cases, I would always encourage our clients to create projects through a form, not the way I've been creating them, which is just directly in the base. So I would encourage you to set up a form where the sole purpose of the form is for people to add in a new project. Since we already have this form, I'm just going to add a couple of minor changes to it. For example, at a minimum, we need a project type field. And back on our automation page, we can now select the trigger as when a form is submitted. And the form you're going to select is on the projects table called Add a Project. Once again, we're going to choose our Open Mic Night event for our test record. Next, you're going to want to skip the Run Action section and go directly to add a conditional action. Then you're going to run this action only if the project type is an event. So now you've set up your first condition for if the project type is an event. Next, you can add some actions. In this case, I'm going to create some records in the tasks table. Again, you want to fill in that task descriptor. And we're going to create a record in the tasks table with the task name being called Rent Equipment for the event. And you can fill out as many of these fields as you want if your organization already has a designated assignee for all of these tasks, or have a lot of structure around what kinds of tasks or what kinds of records you're creating. You can definitely fill in more than just one field. Next, I'm going to run that test. And now back on my tasks table, I have a new task, but I just realized I actually didn't fill in the project record. So that means we need to go back to the drawing board and update our automation. So we have to fill in something for our project field. And that, once again, is going to be the Airtable record ID. So this record ID means fill in the record ID of the project that triggered this automation in the first place. In this case, it's our open mic night at the coffee shop. And fill in that open mic night at the coffee shop into this project field. But you're not going to necessarily fill in the name, because what if there are two projects that are named the same name? So instead, Airtable wants to be extra precise, and it wants to use that record ID. It's a difficult concept to grasp, so you might want to rewatch this part a few times, and we also talked about the record ID in some previous sessions as well. It is very important to understand. And we're just going to run another test. Back in our tasks table, we now can see, okay, great. We can have a proper record now with the project name and the task name filled in. Now that we have the first task created, you might want to set up a template and think about how many other tasks or how many other records you want to create. So in my case, I'll just make a duplicate of this create record step. And it created another record. This is going to be create task for hiring a cleanup crew after the event ends. We can go ahead, once we've got that second step of our automation configured, then we can run another test. And looking back in our tasks table here, you can see that we have a new task created from the automation called hiring a cleanup crew. And with these automated tasks, you want to be a little bit more conservative in terms of what you're creating, because there could be different types of events. So I might not need to find a mic for the event, or I might not need to find a sound system for the event every time, but maybe some things that are similar are going to be making sure I have enough rental equipment like chairs and tables, and making sure that I have enough of a cleanup crew coming to wrap up that event. So that's really the first condition that we worked on. Our second condition is when the project isn't an event. Next, we're going to set up the conditions. You're going to set up the condition where if the project type is a non-event, You can always label them differently from what Airtable offers, so this is also an option for you. Oh, and for the testing input for a conditional action, you're going to replace select values from previous steps. And your project type is going to be non-event. Now if you test the condition again, you'll see the different records. Same thing here, you're going to create a record. Once again, you're going to attach a project. And the task name is going to be project planning. And once again, we'll run this test as configured. So now we've got a project planning task, and we still have that project from the beginning, which is the open mic night, because that was our very original trigger record. But in reality, when a new record is submitted or a new form is filled out, it's going to grab whatever the recent record is. It's going to use the record ID of that trigger record. So for now, even though our test record has the incorrect open mic night record, that's okay. This is just a test. And now we're on to the fun part. I'm going to turn this automation on and we're going to test it. To test it, we need to test both conditions. The first one being if the project type is the event, and the second one being a project type is not the event. Back on my projects table, I'm going to open up the form. I'll open up the form to add a new project and then go ahead and add a new project. I just added a test event project for John's Guitar Shop. You can see this new record in the projects table. When we look at the run history, we can also see that the automation successfully ran. So that means in our tasks table, we now also have rent equipment for the event and also hiring a cleanup crew. I'm also going to fill out a form for a non-event project. So once again, I'll open up this form. After submitting that form and heading back onto my projects table, I see that Sam's Personal Real Estate Corp now has a non-event test project. And now on our tasks table, you can see that the project planning task was created for Sam's personal real estate corp project. And in our automations, it has ran again a couple minutes after, and this was for Sam's personal real estate project. So there, that's how you set up a conditional automation. There is a lot to unpack here, so you're welcome to follow along again and try it out for yourself. Thanks for investing in your own knowledge base. I'm Cherry Yang, the founder of Claribase. We're going to be releasing our flagship course, Airtable Mastery, for free. In the course, you can find over 100 videos on topics like design, integration, automations, and interfaces. It's perfect for the Airtable champion who wants to build their database right the first time. You can sign up for the course at the link down below.